Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is episode 4 in the photo critiques that I've been doing for followers over on Instagram. And this one was sent in by A.A. Nestorov. I think I'm going to just butcher every single one of these as far as you guys' names concerned. So I apologize again. But he sent in this beautiful shot of this Alfa Romero Giulia. What a tongue twister. And yeah, so I want to dive right into this photo and start critiquing it for you guys. So the first thing that obviously jumps out to my eye, and I think it's going to jump out to most of your guys' eye, is this mess in traffic lights and street lights. This photo is very close to being awesome, and I feel like that really just kind of hurts the photo. And it's so easy nowadays to take that type of stuff out. I mean, you know, just a couple of seconds and, you know, you could do your typical content aware fills on some of these things and get them completely out of there. Content aware does a fantastic job. I mean, look at that already. That, yes, there's a little glow there, right? And that we'll need to, you know, grab a clone stamp and we'll go on like a 75% layer. We'll grab dark there and we'll get rid of that glow really quickly. Just extend it to the frame and boom, already one of them's gone. You know, is there maybe a little bit more touch up that needs to be done there? Sure. But already one's gone. You know, so I think that this stuff, you know, definitely needs to be removed. And, you know, with structures like these, I've done some shots where I've taken out some pretty big structures, and it's okay to work piece by piece like this, right? So it doesn't seem like, you know, it's a fixable thing because of the clouds and everything, but you'll notice here, like, if I do a content aware fill on just that piece will disappear, right? We don't have to take the whole structure out yet. We can go piece by piece. You know, if this is a hard section here, we're gonna just go along the post there, and we're gonna take just this out for now. And I will speed some of this up for you guys. I don't think I'm gonna do this whole structure, but I think you guys get the idea that we can get this with today's technology. Even before we had content aware fill, it would take a decent bit of time, but it will really improve the photo to be fantastic looking. I mean, look at a great job, other than like a tiny little fixes. Look at the great job that content aware fill is doing on the image there. And like I said, you're gonna go piece by piece and just keep kind of taking things away and then worrying about the other piece. Make it simple for content aware fill. Let's not give it this giant structure, but let's make it very simple. You know, something here to, you know, you have this weird cross and all these connecting lines here. So let's just take our clone and, like I said, make it simple. So let's just do a little bit with clone, because it's a very easy section to clone there. It's a nice gradient, and it's pretty easy to stay consistent with that gradient. And now we're right back at the other situation where, you know, we can go right back to our clone stamp and select out this part. And while you're doing this, there will be things you need to fix, but they make it pretty easy nowadays to handle some issues like this. I mean, look at that. That's just a fantastic job. Same thing. So you guys get the idea. So in my eyes, that all needs to come out. And, you know, already this photo would be, you know, very, very improved. As far as the car goes, some of the simple fixes I would make would be, I don't mind the front end. The front end's actually great. Love the color that you're pulling here. There's a couple. Now, this is basically where any of the problems might arise, is you're getting some reflections from what we're taking out or from what's over. Oh, I'm not on red. So you're getting some of these reflections from whatever's over here that we can't see in the frame. And it kind of looks like it's more traffic lights and whatnot, or it weirdly is those traffic lights somehow being reflected. But I think that what you have working there should be pretty easy to, again, clone stamp. So yeah, so with this photo, it's a lot of clone stamp work to kind of get you there to that final piece. But like, let's just make a new layer here. We'll call it car cleanup, and just like these little changes to like some of the imperfections that's happening on the vehicle, current layer, we need to be all layers. You guys will notice, you know, just these subtle changes. You know, some of the reflections that aren't flattering to the body lines, you don't have to take them all out, but there a little can go a long way. I think that's my favorite favorite saying here on the channel so far. But some of these things need to be cleaned up, and you know, you really get to notice it on the before and after. And you know, sometimes it doesn't feel like the biggest change, but then when you do this consistently over a body of images, you know, people start saying, man, your photos just always have a polish to them, a cleanness to them, you know, a commercial look to them. And that's these little details that you're gonna make in. That's what kind of sets you apart from just like the average shot, right? So like that comes out. Like, again, I'm doing this fast for you guys. I'm trying not to make these videos too long, but some of these things just need to be cleaned up. And then when you zoom out here, look how much cleaner that side looks. It seems like we got a little post right here, needs to be changed. I'm only gonna do, probably gonna stop right after this little piece here. And like, look already, look at the side of our car. Like, we have a much more flattering body line. There's some in the highlights, you can see that they're, you know, the street lights up there. Take those right out. You know, especially like, I think those should have been taken out already. But like, especially if you're going to remove all those light posts, then you definitely need to remove them. But yeah, something like that is something that I would have done on the side of the car here. And then another thing I would say is, it does look like you have a decent red quality there. I would like to see if we just select it out. Again, this is quick. I'm not saying that's how you should select the car out, but if we went curves, switch curves over to color, can we get more red in the side of the car? And it looks like we can, right? So just bump a little, like, you see how the difference of red quality is on the front compared to the side. The side's a very desaturated red. Well, with that layer that I just ran on it, I would go in and I would paint that red in on the side of our vehicle to have that same punch and that same vibrant look to the paint instead of it dying off. A lot of times you don't need to do that, because if you're running a circular polarizer, you'll have two different layers. You'll have the layer for the front and the layer for the side. But now when you pull out and we click on and off of that, you see we're getting a little bit more red in there, which, you know, helps the balance of the photo there. Whereas, you know, originally it's kind of getting pretty desaturated and you're losing red over there, you know, so to speak. So that's one situation I would change on the car. The wheels look good. I like how bright they are. Looks like I went a little too far on my red there. I wouldn't change too much about the wheels. The grill looks awesome. Love the detail you're getting in the tire tread there. That's kind of crazy. I would maybe just clean up this line here on the ground. Maybe just the first one. If it made sense, you know, you'd need to spend a bit of time on this again, but I'd maybe try to polish this grout line or whatever up, or maybe both of them. I think that could be a little distracting to some people's eye. But yeah, it would need a decent amount of time. This is just a quick rough draft on basically taking that out, and then obviously this dark spot needs to come out. Just doing this really fast for you guys. But yeah, something that like just lightened it up down there or something. There's like a weird gutter or something. I don't know what that is, but maybe you do it on this side too and just try to blend it so it's not so much of an eyesore. You know, something like that or so. But yeah, you know, you could, if it looked right, I'd probably start with like trying to like remove it completely. But a lot of times when you have a big section on the road like this, it's going to be hard to do that because you have such a different quality of light in those two zones that when you try to clash those two together, it might be a bigger headache than you want it to be, and shouldn't spend that much time on that piece basically. Another part I would say, and this is starting to get into the color grade, is it seems like there's a general like pink or red to the entire photo. And I'm assuming that was some sort of the color grade, or maybe like when you're color grading the darks or the whatever, the darks or the highlights, it just bled over to the entire image. So what I'd like to see personally is with the red car, I'd be looking at what's complementing it. And I would probably push this, especially with the style of the photo. You're inferring that a light haze is coming from up there. The sun is, below the clouds there, but it's pushing up a light. I would probably squeeze into that a little bit more, and I would take like a color balance. I would say, hey, on my highlights, I want you to be, pick a direction. I want them to be yellow, right? I want them to be warm. And then we're going to apply image. We're going to make sure that that's only affecting our highlights, and then we're going to squeeze it down to really only affect the brightest spots of our image. And you can see here that subtle shift, that it's going from like, if you'll really notice it if you're looking up here, I'll try to circle it for you. If you're like looking up here, there's like a reddish tone to it. And like in here, there's like a reddish tone. And when I click on this, you'll see it gets yellow, right? You'll see that the body line there gets a little bit more warm and yellow. I'm just adding more warmth to the image. And I think that trying to squeeze into a warmer look in your highlights on this specific photo would be nice, just playing off that red. So that is something I do with the color grade. And just to show you it in a more dramatic light, I'll really crank the settings, like something like that. You have this like really red car, like just looking at it into like layers again, like I like to do. You have like this yellow zone, and then you have this red zone, and then you have like little yellow zones that complement that big overall arching yellow zone. And I think that plays nicely with each other as far as, trying to make the photo seem like cinematically graded and all one, basically. With knowing that purple shift was happening in your highlights, do you need to come into the reds maybe and bring back a little bit of, basically in this instance, you're going to pump blue and it should add yellow. Yeah. So something like that. And you can already see here that we're getting a much different look as far as the color grade goes. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to really see it too much on YouTube, but look how pink this is. And then look how, that pink basically goes away with some of that warmth that's added in. And another cool trick I like to do is I like to hit Shift Control A when you're working with your raw file. Shift Control A will bring up Camera Raw again, and you can go in here and go into Color Mixer, and let's just say we want a little bit more drama. We want the red to pump a little bit more and be a tiny bit darker, right? So you can see the shift that's happening there. We can say, hey, on our car, we want to bump a little bit. I'm trying to create depth here, right? So on the car, let's bump the shadows a tiny bit, add a little bit more contrast, and add a tiny bit of clarity and dehaze. And I'm going to paint that just on the front of my grill, just in the front part of the car here, and maybe carries over to the wheel a little bit, right? And you can see that it just kind of adds a little bit of darkness, a little bit of pump to the image, and it gives it a little bit more depth, right? It's like that subtle change there. And yeah, so that's probably where I go with this. Personally, when I take all this out, I would have probably then seen what like a dropped in sky would have looked like. It would have been cool to have like a little bit more contrast back there. You're not having problems with the weight of the photo because everybody's eye is going to go there, but it would have been cool to see what a couple different skies would have looked like and seeing how they broke up the image. And I think also like grabbing a screened layer of white and putting it in a reflected gradient after you did that, after we added a little bit more drama in the sky with a dropped in sky, it would have been cool to see, like, actually we're not going to want to do white. We want that to be a very touch to yellow. Just a slight touch to yellow. Just because we're inferring that with our color grade. And I do something like this, put that on a layer mask, and then I paint in the separation, not at 100%, at more like 20% I'd start at, and I just paint in a little bit of haze and separation, and give us that distance, right? And I'm putting that haze in, but I'm just showing you that, knowing that, like, I probably would have dropped a sky in here, and I would have had more darkness on the top portion of my photo up here. I would have had more darkness up here, and it would have helped then create separation here, but then I have darkness here again to give me this nice play on the atmosphere of what was going on here. But yeah, so those are some changes I would make. I'd also lastly look at what like a soft light gradient pull on black would look like, specifically on the ground. I mean, you could do it up here too. That kind of looks cool, right? Something like that on the if you were going to keep this sky and you got rid of all those street lights and whatnot, let's get rid of my smoke then if you were going to do that. But yeah, gradient pull like that, just to add a little bit more drama. And then if I would do that up there, I'd do that right down here too, and just help take your eye in a little bit more towards the car. You're shaping the eye, you're pushing the eye towards the car. It's like a vignette. It's not, right? It's more like a horizontal vignette that you're just trying to push the eye into the middle of the photo, specifically for this image. You know, as 100% a little too much? Yeah, maybe you want to be more around 50%. And you know, you could just see how it wraps the image nicely. Even if you were going to leave this guy in, I would still think about like adding a little bit of smoke haze to here and here to see how it separates the image and see what you can get out of it. But yeah, those are some simple tweaks I'd make. I'd also say about the composition, it looks like you have a nice space here. I would have loved to see on this shot, nothing changed about the car. I love the aggressive angle that the car is taking. I just would have loved to see the photo pull out just a tiny bit more, you know, like I'm talking like really slightly out, like maybe, you know, another 10, you know, millimeters, maybe 15 millimeters, just to see it pull out a little bit more. And when it pulls out, you're mainly pulling this way, right? You're mainly going to pull this way. The car's pointing that way. And I think that would have created a little bit more of an establishing shot on where we are. It would have invited a little bit better weight. And personally, I think it would have been cool to bring your camera up just a hair, right? So that like, instead of the roof line being right here, maybe the roof line was like right here, right? And it gives us a little bit more of the sky weighted in. It gets rid of some of the ground, some of the foreground, and, you know, try to balance that weight out a little bit more. But in order to do that, or when you're doing that, I'd like to see the photo just come out like 15 millimeters. Yeah, those are some of the simple changes I would make, and that pretty much wraps up this video. And I appreciate you guys stopping by and checking it out again, and I can't wait to do another one with you guys. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit the like if this is something you're into. I plan on doing a lot more, and reach out if you want to be a part of it also. So thanks, guys.